Did you know that small changes to your routine can have a huge impact on your thyroid health? Imagine being able to avoid fatigue, weight gain, and other uncomfortable symptoms just by incorporating one simple habit into your daily routine. 1 in 5 women over 60 develops thyroid problems, but most don't even know they have them. If you've been experiencing increased fatigue, unexplained weight gain, or difficulty concentrating, stop everything you're doing and give me the next few minutes of your attention, because your thyroid may be crying out for help. What I'm about to share may be the answer you've been looking for. There's a simple habit that can prevent and even reverse the symptoms of hypothyroidism. Today, I'll reveal exactly what this habit is, how to implement it into your routine, and why doctors rarely talk about it. Your thyroid will thank you. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to practically implement it into your routine and why it can transform your health after 60. You'll have the clarity to protect your thyroid and never again ignore your body's signals. The truth is, your thyroid doesn't fail overnight. It whispers before it screams. And what you feel, that fatigue that isn't simply sleepiness, but a weight that anchors you to the couch, the difficulty buttoning pants that fit a few months ago, the mental fog that makes you forget names and appointments, isn't your imagination, nor is it getting older. It's the silent cry of an overworked gland, begging for a specific kind of support that modern life, especially after 60, rarely offers. Over the course of my more than 25 years in practice, I've sat across from hundreds, perhaps thousands of women just like you, intelligent, active women who suddenly find themselves struggling with their own bodies without understanding why. They arrive with a folder full of tests, often with good results, but with an exhausted soul, repeating the same phrase, "Doctor, I know something's wrong, but no one takes me seriously." I do, because I understand the delicate biochemistry behind this gland. I've seen firsthand how the hormonal decline of menopause, chronic stress accumulated over a lifetime, and, most importantly, subtle nutritional deficiencies create the perfect storm for hypothyroidism to set in and sap your vitality. And what I've discovered, and what traditional medicine often ignores, is that the solution doesn't begin with a prescription. It begins with a fundamental pillar that supports all hormonal production. The habit I'm about to reveal to you isn't a magic formula, but rather the missing piece in the puzzle of your thyroid health, the key that can restart your metabolism. And the reason few talk about it is simple. It can't be patented and requires a change in behavior, something that, in the rush of a 15-minute consultation, is easier to ignore than to teach. But I'm here to do things differently. I'll teach you. To understand the power of this habit, you first need to understand how your thyroid actually works, in a way no one has ever explained to you. Think of your thyroid as the conductor of a grand orchestra, the orchestra of your metabolism. Every cell in your body, from the strand of hair still growing strong to the tip of your toe needing to stay warm, waits for its commands to know at what pace to work. It's the thyroid that determines whether you have the energy to play with your grandchildren or feel exhausted just thinking about it. It regulates your body temperature, the speed of your digestion, the clarity of your thoughts. And to produce this symphony of energy, this conductor needs high-quality raw materials and, most importantly, at the right time. What I see every day in my office is that most women, without realizing it, start the day sabotaging this conductor. They leave her hungry. The transformative habit that can prevent and reverse symptoms of hypothyroidism is implementing a strategic thyroid breakfast. And please don't think I'm going to tell you to eat any old fruit. I'm talking about something much deeper and more powerful. The first meal of the day, for a woman over 60, is not optional and cannot be just black coffee or a roll with butter. The morning, after hours of fasting during sleep, is the most critical time for your thyroid. This is when it needs a specific set of nutrients for 2 vital tasks. First, to produce the hormone that functions as a promise of energy, a storage hormone. And second, and even more importantly, to convert this promise into reality, activating this hormone so that it becomes real energy, which you feel in your body. Skipping breakfast or eating something meager is like asking an orchestra to play a symphony without handing over the instruments. The result is silence, sluggishness, and fatigue. Your body, instead of accelerating, goes into economy mode. And guess which system it slows down first? Your metabolism, governed by your thyroid. So, what defines this strategic breakfast? There are 3 pillars you can't ignore. The first, and perhaps the most overlooked, is high-quality protein. Think of proteins as your body's messengers, or taxis. Thyroid hormone doesn't travel alone. It needs these taxis to get it to every cell where it needs to act. Without enough protein in the morning, your hormones get stuck, unable to deliver the energy message. We're talking eggs, plain, unsweetened yogurt, and a handful of nutritious seeds. The second pillar is healthy fats. Imagine that each of your cells has a little door. For the energy hormone to enter and do its work, this door needs to open easily. Healthy fats are like the oil that lubricates the lock on this door, ensuring the message gets through without difficulty. Avocado, olive oil, walnuts, and chestnuts are essential for ensuring the lock works perfectly. And the third pillar, the most specific, is the activators. These are tiny nutrients that act as the spark that starts the engine. Your thyroid desperately needs them to make that magical conversion of energy promise into real energy. This is where Brazil nuts become a star. Just 1 or 2 a day with your breakfast provide the key activator your thyroid needs for this job. It also needs other little helpers, found in pumpkin seeds and dark leafy greens, which you can easily add to an omelet or smoothie. Putting together this morning dish isn't just about eating. It's about providing your conductor with the score and the instruments so she can conduct your day with vigor and clarity. But it's not just about what eat. How you combine these foods, and especially the silent enemies you may be unknowingly adding to your morning plate, are equally crucial. Now that you understand the 3 pillars that support your thyroid in the morning, protein, fat, and the activators, we need to talk about the saboteurs. Because what you remove from your morning plate is just as important as what you put into it. In my clinical practice, I identify 3 silent enemies that consistently appear in the breakfasts of women with thyroid problems. The first, and most devastating, is the combination of sugar and white flour. That warm French bread, the crackers, the breakfast cereal that claims to be healthy but is full of sugar, or even the orange juice from the carton. For your thyroid, this is like throwing water on a fire that should warm you. When you consume these foods, your body receives a quick, empty surge of energy. It's a flash in the pan. It burns brightly for a moment and then quickly dies out, leaving behind only smoke. This smoke in our bodies is called inflammation, a small internal fire that tires and overwhelms all systems, especially your delicate thyroid. That's why, often, right after a breakfast like this, you feel momentarily awake, but an hour or 2 later, a sudden drop in energy, a craving for more sweets, and overwhelming fatigue set in. It's not a lack of coffee. It's your body struggling to put out this constant fire. The second enemy is more subtle and doesn't apply to everyone, but for a large portion of women, especially those whose thyroid is already under attack by the body's own defense system, it's a powerful trigger. Gluten, the wheat protein. The science behind it is fascinating, and I like to explain it with an analogy. Imagine your body has an army of very loyal soldiers, whose job is to protect you from invaders. Now, imagine that the gluten protein, to these soldiers, looks a lot like your own thyroid tissue. It's as if the invader wears a near-perfect disguise. The soldiers, eager to protect you, begin attacking the invader, gluten. But because they look so similar, they get confused and end up mistakenly attacking your own thyroid. They shoot at both enemy and friend. This continuous silent attack slowly destroys your gland. That's why many of my patients, by simply swapping gluten-containing bread for breakfast for 30 days, report incredible improvements in brain fog, bloating, and energy, even before any medication adjustments. The third saboteur is soy, especially in liquid form, as in many plant-based milks. Think of the activating nutrients your thyroid needs as special keys to turn on the energy machine. Too much soy can act like duct tape on a lock. The key tries to fit, but it can't turn. It interferes, blocking the passage of some of these essential activators to the thyroid, making energy production slower and more difficult. This doesn't mean you need to be terrified of soy, but in the context of a breakfast designed to reactivate your thyroid, it's much smarter to choose other nutrient sources. So, what would a breakfast that nourishes rather than sabotages look like in practice? I'll give you concrete examples to visualize. Imagine starting the day with 2 scrambled eggs, cooked in olive oil or butter, with a generous handful of sautéed spinach. The eggs provide the protein taxis. The spinach adds important minerals. On the side, you add half an avocado, which will lubricate the doors of your cells with good fat. And, as a finishing touch, you eat 2 Brazil nuts, the sparks that start the engine. There you go. In a single dish, you've delivered everything your conductor needs. Another option, for those who prefer something more practical, is a vitality smoothie. In a blender, add a cup of plain yogurt or coconut milk, a handful of berries, which are just the right amount of sweet without causing a flash in the pan, a spoonful of chia seeds, and a spoonful of almond butter. Blend everything. It's creamy, delicious, and will keep you energized and strong for hours. The secret isn't complicated recipes, but understanding this logic. Always start with protein and good fats, and leave sugar and white flours aside. This simple act of restructuring your first meal is the foundation on which all your daily energy will be built. You might be thinking, "Doctor, this makes so much sense. Why didn't my doctor ever tell me any of this? He just looks at my labs, adjusts my medication dosage, and sends me home." And that's an absolutely valid question, one I hear every day in my office. The answer lies in the way our healthcare system is built. The medicine most doctors practice is trained to put out fires. If your body's alarm bells sound, in the case of a thyroid condition, an abnormal blood test, the logic is to use the extinguisher, medication, to silence the alarm. It's a reactive model, focused on correcting the number on paper and not on understanding why the fire started in the first place. Nutrition, the way you feed your body, is seen as secondary, a support, and not as the most powerful tool we have to prevent a fire from starting or spreading. Talking about the impact of your breakfast takes time, requires a conversation that goes beyond the 5 minutes of an appointment. It is much quicker and more practical for an overloaded system to adjust the dose of medication than to teach you to become the guardian of your own health. And here comes a crucial point that is rarely discussed, and which I insist my patients understand. Taking thyroid hormone in a pill is only half the battle. I often say that taking the medication is like receiving a shipment of bricks to build a house. But if you don't have the bricklayers, your body's nutrients, the mortar, vitamins and minerals, and the right tools, good fats, those bricks will just sit there, never becoming a strong, welcoming home. You may have a perfect blood test showing the bricks have arrived, but if your body doesn't have the tools to use them, you'll continue to feel cold, tired, gain weight, and have a clouded mind. You'll continue to live outside, even with all the building materials right there. This is exactly where the strategic thyroid breakfast comes in. It doesn't replace your medication in any way. It enhances your medication. He gives your inner bricklayers exactly what they need to build their energy day after day. Let's be even more specific so you never forget. The nutrient in that Brazil nut is the master builder who gives the order to transform your hormone's energy promise into real energy. Without it, the whole process becomes slow and sluggish. It's like having a powerful car with poor quality fuel. Other minerals, like those found in pumpkin seeds, act as a communication radio between the brain and the thyroid, ensuring that orders are given and received clearly. Iron, which many women over 60 have unknowingly low levels, is essential for the initial production of hormones. Low iron is like a factory with few workers. Production drops dramatically, and the sun, our wonderful sunshine vitamin, acts like a diplomat, calming your immune system so it stops attacking your own thyroid. See how everything is interconnected? It's not just one thing. It's a symphony. And that's why a plate of real food, which brings together these components, is so much more powerful than taking an isolated vitamin. And there is one more detail, which involves the clock ideally. This meal should happen within the first hour after waking up. This helps reset your biological clock. By eating early with the right nutrients, you signal to your body, the day has begun, start your engines. We have quality fuel. This helps regulate the stress hormone cortisol, which should give you a burst of energy in the morning. But in many women with a tired thyroid, it's out of whack, leaving you exhausted in the morning and wired at night, unable to sleep. A breakfast rich in protein and good fat helps reset this clock, bringing your rhythm back to its natural rhythm. So, this habit isn't just about food. It's about giving your body the right signal, at the right time, so it can work for you, not against you. It's an act of intelligence with your own body, which translates into more energy, more mental clarity, and the peace of mind that comes with finally being in control. Now I want you to stop for a moment and take a deep breath. Think about how you've been feeling these past few years. Think about the last time you woke up feeling truly rested, with a clear mind and an energy that seemed to come from within, a genuine desire to embrace the day. If that memory seems distant, if your routine has been marked by a constant struggle against fatigue, against the numbers on the scale that won't budge, against a discouragement you attributed to age, I want you to understand that this is not your sentence. It's not the inevitable fate of a woman over 60. What you've just learned isn't just nutrition tips. It's a map. It's the map that shows you the way out of this maze of confusing and frustrating symptoms. The before, your current state, is that of a woman who, unknowingly, began each day asking her body to run a marathon with her feet tied together and without having drunk a sip of water. Each hurried breakfast, each bagel and coffee was another knot tightening these bonds. It was another day when his conductor, his thyroid, tried to conduct an orchestra of hungry musicians and out-of-tune instruments. The sound that emerged wasn't a symphony. It was a noise of exhaustion, of confusion, of a metabolism silently crying out for help. The after that opens up for you now is radically different. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of grabbing the first thing you see, you dedicate 10 minutes to preparing your thyroid breakfast. You crack the eggs into the pan, smell the olive oil, and add the vibrant green of the spinach. You slice the avocado, creamy and rich. You separate your 2 Brazil nuts as if they were 2 precious pills of vitality. When you sit down to eat, you're not just nourishing yourself. You're signing a peace treaty with your body. You're sending the clearest and most powerful message possible to every single one of your cells. I'm on your side. I'm going to give you exactly what you need to function well. On the first day, you might just feel more satisfied. On the third, you might notice that mid-afternoon craving for something sweet has disappeared. By the end of the first week, you might find yourself waking up before your alarm with your mind a little less foggy. And after a month, when you look in the mirror, you might see a different sparkle in your eyes, less dry skin, reduced puffiness, and most importantly, you'll feel it. You'll feel your energy returning, not like an artificial caffeine rush, but like a rising tide, steady, constant, and yours. This transformation isn't magic, it's biochemical. It's the direct result of nourishing the root of your metabolism. You go from being a victim of a body that doesn't seem to obey you to becoming an intelligent manager of your own health. The clarity you've gained today frees you from the dependence on waiting for a blood test to dictate how you should feel. You've learned to listen to a more subtle language, the language of your own body. Fatigue stops being just tired and becomes a sign that your thyroid needs more protein. A sluggish mind stops being a sign of age and becomes a reminder that the little doors of your cells need good fats to open. Unexplained weight gain is no longer your fault, but the logical consequence of a metabolism that was in energy-saving mode because it wasn't receiving the right fuel at the right time. This shift in perspective is the most powerful thing I can offer you as a doctor. Knowledge empowers you. It takes the power away from fear, uncertainty, and frustration, and puts it back in your hands, in your fork, in your morning choices. You don't have to wait for your next appointment to start feeling better. You can start tomorrow. This simple habit isn't just about your thyroid. It's about regaining control of your vitality. It's about actively deciding that your golden years will indeed be golden, full of energy, clarity, and joy in life. It's about understanding that your body is not your enemy. It has fought bravely for you for over 60 years, and now you've finally learned how to give it the right weapons to continue this fight by your side, strong and resilient. This is the true revolution that begins on your plate. At the beginning of this video, I made you a promise. I promised to reveal a simple, often overlooked habit capable of preventing and even reversing the uncomfortable symptoms that may be undermining your life after 60. I told you there was a way to protect your thyroid, and that, in the end, you would have the clarity to never again ignore the signals your body gives you. And we did just that. The answer wasn't a miracle drug or a complicated treatment, but something within your control every day: your first meal. A strategic thyroid breakfast isn't a diet. It's an act of intelligence. It's your daily decision to provide the maestro of your metabolism with the exact raw material it needs to masterfully manage your energy, mood, and health. Now you know why fatigue, weight gain, and brain fog aren't just aging issues. You understand that your thyroid doesn't fail overnight, but that it responds directly to what you put on your plate. You've learned to identify silent saboteurs, like sugar and white flour, and discovered the 3 pillars that support your morning vitality: protein, good fat, and activating nutrients. More than that, you understand the logic behind every choice, the why that empowers you to make the best decisions for your health with confidence and security. The veil of confusion has been lifted. Now you have the knowledge that allows you to view your kitchen not as a place of obligations, but as your personal pharmacy, your wellness laboratory. But knowledge alone doesn't generate change. It needs to be put into practice. So my invitation to you is simple. Don't let this information slip away. Start tomorrow. Choose one of the options I gave you: eggs with spinach and avocado or the Vitality smoothie. And just try it. Notice how you feel. Commit to yourself for a week. The journey to regaining your energy begins with a single step, a single breakfast. And to help you continue this journey and not feel alone, I want to ask you 3 things. First, comment below. What was your biggest discovery in this video? What resonated most with you? Reading your comments helps me understand your needs and create even better content. Second, if this video brought you clarity, share it with a friend, sister, or cousin who might also be going through this. We women are stronger when we support each other. And third, if you're not yet part of our community, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Our conversation is just beginning. I'm here to guide you on this journey, bringing the experience of over 25 years of practice directly to you, with clarity, confidence, and the certainty that it is possible to live a full and vibrant life at any age. Your thyroid will thank you, and so will your health. See you in the next video.